The night was quiet around the human military base. The desert stretched wide, empty and silent under the cold stars. Only the sound of engines and guards walking with heavy boots broke the stillness. Inside the base, scientists worked late. In their secret laboratory, they guarded something important, something dangerous. Something that must never escape, far above the sky. Something else was moving. A broken ship, glowing with sparks, crashed through the atmosphere. Inside that ship was a young alien girl, weak and frightened. Her silver eyes scanned the controls. Her hands trembling, she was running from a battle in the stars. Chased by enemies she could not defeat. Now her ship was failing, and Earth pulled her down like a trap. The crash was loud, but far enough from the base that no one noticed at first. The ship hit the desert sand, breaking into pieces of smoke and fire. The alien girl crawled out, coughing, her body bruised, her breath heavy, her strange clothes were torn. Her skin glowing faintly with soft blue light. She looked around, her eyes full of confusion. This world was strange to her. But she had no choice. She needed to hide. She needed to survive in the distance. She saw lights, tall fences, and the sound of human machines. Her steps were unsteady as she moved closer, her bare feet leaving glowing prints on the sand. She did not know these humans. She did not know their weapons or their secrets, but she felt drawn to that place, as if fate wanted her to walk there, inside. The base, the scientists were testing a new liquid. It was not medicine, not fuel, but something far more dangerous. They called it the military serum. It was designed to make soldiers faster, stronger, and more aggressive. But even the humans feared it. Many tests had failed. Some subjects had gone mad, so the serum was locked inside secure glass containers. Glowing faint green in the dark, the alien girl did not know this. She crawled under the fence with quiet movements, her small body slipping past cameras and shadows. She felt weak, thirsty, and desperate for energy. Her people needed water and special minerals to survive. She hoped to find something inside the strange human place. She hoped to heal herself. The corridors were cold and metallic. The hum of machines echoed around her. She pressed her hand to the wall. Feeling its strange vibration, her heart pounded as she moved deeper inside. She could hear voices, but she stayed hidden. Her alien body blended with the shadows, her skin shifting faintly to match the walls. Then she found it, a small room at the end of the hall. The door was half open, and a soft glow spilled out. She stepped inside, her eyes wide at the sight. Rows of glass containers filled with strange, glowing liquid stood before her. Some green, some blue, all humming with energy. She did not know what they were, but she felt pulled toward them. Her thirst grew stronger, her body trembling. The air smelled sharp, chemical, but also strangely sweet. She touched one of the containers. Her hand shook, and the glass cracked with a sharp sound. She gasped, stepping back. The liquid spilled onto the floor. Glowing brighter, she crouched down, scooping some into her hands. Her throat was dry, her chest heavy. Without thinking, without fear, she drank. The taste was fire. It burned her throat. It lit her body like lightning. She coughed, her eyes wide with shock. But then, her strength returned. Her wounds began to close. Her muscles tensed with new power. Her senses exploded, hearing every sound, feeling every vibration. Her heart raced like thunder inside her chest. Something inside her screamed that this was wrong, but her body wanted more. The room shook as the alarms began to ring. The humans had noticed the break. Red lights flashed, soldiers shouted. Boots hit the ground. The alien girl fell to her knees, gasping, her hands glowing brighter than before. Her silver eyes burned with green fire now. She did not understand what she had done. She did not know that she had just taken something humans feared to use. She only knew one thing. Her life had changed forever. And in the shadows of the base, the hunt for her was about to begin. Asterisk, the alarm echoed through the corridors like a scream. Red lights flashed across the walls, painting the base in warning colors. Soldiers shouted to each other, their weapons ready, their boots pounding against the floor. The humans knew something dangerous had happened. But they did not yet know that an alien girl had entered their most forbidden place. She pressed her glowing hands against the cold wall, breathing fast. Her body still burned from the strange liquid she had drunk. Her throat was dry, her mind dizzy, yet she felt stronger than before. Every sound in the base reached her ears now. The hum of electricity, the clink of guns being loaded, the heavy steps of men moving closer. Her heart beat fast, but she forced herself forward. The room she had found was not like the others. It was hidden behind thick doors and sealed codes. But fate, or maybe something else, had guided her there. The forbidden room, the place even humans feared to enter without permission. This was where they kept the military serum. The serum created not to heal, but to change. Not to protect, but to conquer. To the humans, it was a weapon. To her, it was survival. The broken glass at her feet still glowed faintly. The liquid had stained her skin. Crawling up her veins like green fire, her fingers twitched as if alive with new energy. She stared at the other containers, hundreds of them, lined on the shelves. Some blue, some red, some green, each humming softly like beating hearts. She felt them calling to her, whispering in a language she could not understand. Her body wanted more. Her stomach twisted. Her throat begged. The serum inside her demanded to grow stronger. She took a step closer, trembling. Her eyes fixed on the glowing tubes, but before she could touch another, she froze. The sound of footsteps echoed just outside the door. Voices spoke sharply. Human voices filled with command. "Lock down Sector 9. One soldier ordered. "No one in, no one out," another replied. The alien girl crouched low, hiding in the shadows. Her skin shimmered, shifting colors, blending with the wall. She held her breath as the soldiers passed. Her new powers were saving her, but they were also betraying her for each time she used them. The serum burned hotter inside her. It was like fire and hunger mixed together. The forbidden room felt alive. Machines hummed louder. The lights flickered. Her senses told her that this was not just a storage place. It was a prison for something even darker. On the far wall stood a sealed container larger than the rest. Thick metal, heavy locks, glowing symbols carved across its surface. Her eyes widened as she stepped closer. Her heart told her not to, but her body moved anyway. Inside the container floated a strange mass. It was not liquid, not solid, but something between. It pulsed with green light, sending shivers through her skin. The energy inside it was different. Wild, alive. The girl reached out her hand, her fingers shaking. She felt the pulse answer her touch, as if the thing inside recognized her, as if it wanted her. Then the sirens grew louder. The soldiers were closer now. Their voices harsh, their steps heavy. She pulled back, panic rushing through her. Her body glowed brighter, veins shining through her skin. She could not stay here. She would be caught. But the serum inside her pushed harder, whispering louder. It wanted her to break the locks. To drink more, it wanted her to become something else. Something beyond human or alien. Her mind fought against it. She remembered her people, her world, her escape. She was not a weapon, she told herself. She was just trying to survive. But survival had changed meaning now. The serum had made sure of that. The door outside slammed open. Voices shouted. Lights cut across the room. She darted behind a row of containers. Her body pressed tight. Her glowing skin flickered. Struggling to hide, the soldiers entered. Their eyes scanning, their guns raised. One of them stepped too close. Her breathing stopped. her heart a storm. If he turned, if he looked, she would be found. But the serum did not let her wait. It surged through her veins like lightning. Her muscles moved before her mind could stop them. Her hands shot out, glowing. Striking the soldier's weapon, it melted in sparks. The man cried out, falling back. The others shouted in alarm, firing their guns. She screamed, her body exploding with light. Bullets hit the walls. Sparks flew, glass shattered. The forbidden room was no longer secret. It was chaos. The girl ran, her body faster than before. The serum carried her, every step a blur. She crashed through the corridor. Alarms screaming louder. Behind her, the soldiers gave chase. But none of them had ever seen such speed, such strength, such fire. Her silver eyes glowed bright green. Her heart pounded with fear and power. And deep inside, she knew this was only the beginning, for she had not just entered the forbidden room, she had awakened it, and now nothing could put it back to sleep. The desert night was alive with alarms. The base glowed red as sirens wailed across every hallway. Soldiers ran in formation, their boots striking the floor like thunder. Guns were raised, orders were shouted, fear filled the air, yet none of them truly understood what had just been unleashed. The alien girl stumbled through a dark passage, her breath sharp, her chest heavy, her body trembling. The serum inside her burned like fire. Her veins glowed bright under her skin, green light, pulsing with every heartbeat. Her silver eyes no longer looked innocent. They now carried a storm. She pressed her back against the wall, trying to stay hidden. But her body was changing faster than she could control. Her muscles tightened, her strength grew. Even her hearing sharpened so much that she could pick up whispers from soldiers. 3 rooms away, every drop of the serum inside her seemed alive, pushing her, guiding her, but she did not know where it wanted to lead. The corridor stretched ahead, dim and metallic. She took a step forward, but the ground beneath her cracked. Her glowing footprints burned into the floor. She gasped, fear filling her eyes. She had never been this strong before. Her body no longer felt like her own. It felt like a weapon waiting to explode. In her mind, 2 voices fought. One voice whispered of survival, of escape, of running far away into the desert. The other voice was darker, louder. It told her to fight, to destroy, to take more power. Her hands shook as she held her head, trying to silence the storm inside, but the serum did not listen. The serum had its own will. She staggered into a storage chamber. The room was filled with boxes, wires, and glowing monitors. The lights flickered as she entered, reacting to her presence. Her body was releasing strange waves of energy. Machines sparked, metal bent slightly. She touched a steel table, and it crumbled under her grip like sand. Her eyes widened in horror. She was no longer the weak girl who had crawled from a broken ship. She was something else. Suddenly, a group of soldiers rushed in. Their flashlights cut across the room, their weapons locked on her glowing figure. Hands up. One of them shouted, but she did not understand their words. She only heard the sharp tone, the command, the threat. Her chest tightened. Her fear rose. The serum inside her reacted instantly. Her body moved on its own. She leaped forward with inhuman speed. Her hands slashed the air, sending a shockwave that threw the soldiers across the room. They hit the walls hard, their weapons scattering. She stared at her glowing hands in disbelief. She had not meant to attack. She had only been afraid. Yet the serum had turned her fear into violence. Her breathing quickened, her throat burned. She backed into the corner, her eyes wide with panic. She whispered in her own alien tongue, trying to calm herself, but the serum pulsed stronger. As if enjoying her fear, it wanted more. It demanded more. Her veins glowed brighter, her body trembling under the force. The soldiers crawled to their feet, shocked and terrified. They had never seen anything like this. One of them shouted into his radio, calling for backup. Another raised his gun, his hands shaking, the alien girl's eyes locked onto him. She saw the fear in his face, the sweat dripping down his skin. And for a moment, she felt pity, but the serum twisted that feeling. Turning her pity into an urge to dominate, she shook her head, fighting back the dark pull. "No," she whispered. Softly in her language, her body shook violently. Energy sparking around her like green lightning. The soldiers froze, too afraid to move. Then, suddenly, she screamed. The sound echoed through the chamber, raw and powerful. Lights shattered, machines exploded. The walls cracked, the soldiers fell to the floor, covering their heads from the storm she unleashed. And then, silence. The room was broken, wires hanging. Smoke rising, the girl fell to her knees, exhausted, her body steaming with heat. Her chest rising and falling fast. She looked at her glowing hands again, her eyes full of fear and wonder. She did not understand what she was becoming, but she knew one thing. The serum was changing her, awakening something that had been asleep deep inside her. Footsteps approached again, louder this time, dozens of soldiers. Heavier weapons, stronger armor, she could hear the clinking of metal. The low growl of machines. The humans were bringing more than men now. They were bringing their war machines. They were coming to capture or kill her. Her mind spun with confusion. She had only wanted to survive, to find water, to heal, but now she was a target. Now she was a danger. The serum had awakened her, and there was no way back. She stood slowly. Her glowing eyes fixed on the door, her fists tightened, her breath steady. She did not want to fight. But the serum inside her whispered again. It promised strength. It promised victory. And as the doors broke open, she felt the awakening rise inside her once more. This was no longer about survival. This was the beginning of a war. The base was no longer calm. What had started as a simple alarm had now turned into a full military lockdown. Every gate was sealed. Every light flashed red. And every soldier was armed. Commanders shouted into radios. Helicopters roared to life. And armored trucks rolled out of garages. The humans did not yet know what kind of intruder they faced, but they knew it was dangerous, and it had to be stopped. Deep inside the base, the alien girl moved like a shadow. Her glowing eyes scanned every corridor, her breathing sharp and fast. The serum inside her pulsed like a second heartbeat. It gave her strength, but it also pushed her closer to losing control. She pressed her hand to her chest, whispering in her language. She wanted peace. She wanted to escape. But the serum whispered louder, promising victory if she only let it guide her. Outside her hiding place, soldiers marched in squads. There. Footsteps echoed together, heavy and precise. Their helmets scanned for heat signatures, their weapons locked and ready. Some carried electric nets. Others carried rifles that fired blue plasma. They were not just hunting an intruder. They were hunting what they feared might become a weapon. The commander of the hunt was a stern man with scarred cheeks. His name was Colonel Reeves, a man who had seen many wars, but tonight he looked uneasy. He had received the first reports from the squad she had attacked. Men thrown across walls, weapons melted. Machines broken by unseen energy no human could have done this. Reeves knew something else was moving inside his base, and he would not rest until it was captured. The girl crouched behind a row of storage crates. Her silver hair clung to her face. Her glowing skin dimmed as she tried to hide. She listened to the soldiers, every whisper, every click of a gun. Her new senses were sharper than theirs. She could smell their sweat. She could hear the tremble. In their voices, they were afraid, even though they walked with heavy steps of authority. She closed her eyes for a moment, trying to calm herself. But then she saw it through the walls. Her new vision stretched. The serum had awakened more than strength. She could sense heat, motion, even the energy flowing in the soldiers' machines. It felt overwhelming, but also powerful. She knew exactly where the squads were moving. She knew they were coming closer. A soldier's boot scraped near her hiding place. He raised his weapon, scanning the shadows. The girl tensed, her hands trembling with green sparks. The serum urged her to strike first, but she bit her lip. Fighting the urge, she wanted to escape. Without more blood, yet fate was not kind. The soldier's scanner beeped. He turned sharply toward her. His flashlight cut through the darkness, landing directly on her glowing eyes. For a second, both froze, his face filled with shock, her face with fear. Then he shouted, "Target spotted!" The silence shattered. Gunfire roared. Boots pounded. Soldiers swarmed. The girl leaped back, her body moving faster than thought. Bullets cracked the air, but curved away as her glowing aura flared. She dashed through the crates, knocking them aside like paper. The soldiers followed, their shouts filling the corridors. The hunt had truly begun. Colonel Reeves listened to the chaos through his earpiece. "Hold her ground. Cut her off. Don't let her reach the surface," he barked. He studied the monitors, tracking her glowing trail through the cameras. Everywhere she moved, lights flickered, metal bent. Machines shut down. "This isn't just an intruder," he muttered. "It's something else entirely." The girl crashed into another hallway. Her body glowed like a beacon, her veins burning with fire. She pressed her hands against a locked door. The metal hissed, then melted under her touch. She slipped through as alarms blared louder. Soldiers closed in, their footsteps surrounding her. She was trapped deeper inside the base, exactly where Reeves wanted her. The serum inside her pulsed. Wildly, it was feeding on her fear, pushing her further into power. She could feel her strength rising with every second, but she also felt her mind slipping further from control. Her breaths grew heavier, her skin cracked with light. She whispered again to herself, begging to resist, but the serum answered only with silence. The soldiers entered the hallway, forming a circle around her, their weapons pointed, their eyes sharp. The girl looked at them, her glowing eyes wide with both fear and rage. For a moment, no one moved. Then Colonel Reeves himself stepped forward. He raised his hand, signaling the soldiers to wait. "Who are you?" he demanded, his voice low but firm. His eyes studied her carefully, as if he were speaking not to an enemy but to a mystery. The girl tilted her head. She did not understand his words, but she understood his tone. It was not kindness, it was control. She felt the serum inside her stir angrily. Her body shook, sparks flew from her fingertips. The soldiers tensed, fingers on triggers, and then, without warning, the serum surged. The hallway exploded with light. A wave of force knocked the soldiers off their feet. Reeves shielded his face as sparks rained down. The girl screamed, her voice echoing like thunder. Walls cracked, alarms shattered, metal twisted like clay, and when the light faded, she was gone. The soldiers groaned, the hallway destroyed, but the hunt was not over. It had only just begun. Colonel Reeves stood among the wreckage, his jaw tight. He raised his radio with a steady hand. "All units," he said coldly. "This is no ordinary intruder. This is a threat to humanity itself. Find her." And so, the hunt moved beyond the base, into the desert night. Where shadows and stars watched silently, the girl ran, glowing faintly against the dark sands. Her heart heavy, her power burning. The humans were coming for her, and she could no longer hide. The desert stretched wide under the pale moon, cold. Winds swept across the sand, carrying the echo of alarms from the military base behind. The alien girl ran barefoot, her glowing footprints fading slowly in the dark. Her chest heaved, her breaths heavy, her body trembling. The serum inside her pulsed like fire, every heartbeat, sending sparks through her veins. She wanted to stop. She wanted to rest, but the power inside her would not allow it. Far behind, searchlights swept across the sand. Armored trucks rolled out. Helicopters circled above, their blades cutting the night sky. The humans were determined. The hunt would not end until she was captured or destroyed. Colonel Reeves stood at the edge of the base, his sharp eyes fixed on the glowing trail she left behind. "This thing is unstable," he muttered into his radio. "Don't let it reach the cities." He had seen weapons before, but nothing that pulsed with such raw, uncontrollable energy. The girl stumbled into a canyon, the rocks towering high on both sides. Her body glowed brighter, cracks of green light spreading across her arms. Her hands shook as she pressed them. Against the stone wall, the rock hissed and burned under her touch. Turning black, she gasped, pulling back, her silver eyes wide with fear. Her powers were no longer answering her will. They were moving on their own. She dropped to her knees, clutching her head. Voices filled her mind. Whispers of war and hunger. The serum was alive, she realized. Alive and speaking in a voice she did not understand. It wanted to grow. It wanted to spread. It cared nothing for her fear. Her tears fell, glowing faintly as they hit the sand. "I don't want this," she whispered in her alien tongue, but the serum did not listen. Her body convulsed. A wave of energy burst from her chest, slamming against the canyon walls. Rocks cracked and tumbled down. The earth trembled beneath her. The light from her body lit the canyon like a burning torch. Above, the helicopters spotted her instantly. "Target located," a voice shouted over the radios. Colonel Reeves narrowed his eyes. "All units, move in." The sound of engines thundered through the desert. Trucks closed in. Soldiers poured out, forming lines at the canyon entrance. Searchlights blinded the girl as she tried to stand. Her body shook violently, sparks flying from her skin. The serum was no longer just inside her. It was leaking into the air, twisting around her like green mist. "Don't shoot unless necessary," Reeves commanded. "We need her alive." But the soldiers' hands trembled on their triggers. They saw not a girl, but a glowing creature. Something caught between life and weapon. Their fear was stronger than their orders. The girl lifted her head slowly. Her silver-green eyes burned, her breath ragged. She tried to speak, tried to beg them to stop, but the words caught in her throat. Instead, a roar of energy escaped. The soldiers staggered back, their helmets buzzing with static, their machines shut down, lights flickering and dying. Even the helicopters above spun dangerously, their engines coughing. Colonel Reeves cursed. Under his breath, "This power is spreading too far," he growled. He ordered the heavy vehicles forward, tanks rolling into the canyon. Their cannons glowed, charged with blue plasma meant to pierce even the strongest armor. The girl stared at them, her eyes wide, her heart pounded with fear. She raised her trembling hands as if to shield herself. And then the serum decided for her. A massive wave of green energy exploded outward. The tanks slid across the sand like toys, their cannons bent and twisted. Soldiers were thrown into the air. Weapons shattered in their hands. The canyon walls cracked, rocks falling in thunderous waves. The helicopters above spiraled away, struggling to stay in the sky. And in the center of it all stood the alien girl, her body glowing like a star. Her face was filled not with pride, not with rage, but with terror. She had not chosen this. It was the serum. Using her fear as fuel, she fell to her knees again. Clutching the ground, her glowing hair fell across her face. Her body trembled with exhaustion, yet the power inside kept growing. She realized something terrible in that moment. The more she resisted, the stronger the serum pushed. The more she fought to control it, the more it controlled her. Colonel Reeves rose from the dust, brushing sand from his uniform. His jaw tightened as he looked at the devastation. Half his men were down, machines destroyed. The canyon walls broken, yet the girl still lived, glowing even brighter. "She's not just dangerous," he muttered. "She's unstoppable." He lifted his radio, his voice steady. "Bring out the containment unit from the base." Massive machines rolled forward, tall cages of energy, designed for creatures never meant. To be free, Reeves would not give up. If he could not destroy her, he would trap her. The girl lifted her head weakly, her glowing eyes watching the soldiers regroup. She could hear their voices, their orders, their anger. Her heart sank. There would be no peace, no understanding, only the hunt, and inside her, the serum laughed. Without sound, its hunger growing stronger, its grip tightening, she whispered softly. Her voice breaking, "Please, stop." But the night did not answer. Only the humans moved closer, and the power inside her. Uncontrolled and alive, prepared to break free once again. The desert night burned with fire and smoke. The canyon shook with the memory of her unleashed power. Soldiers crawled from the sand, dazed and broken. Machines sparked and hissed. Their engines dead, their weapons bent like toys. Above, helicopters limped away, their lights fading into the distance. The humans had never seen destruction like this, and yet, in the center of it all, the alien girl knelt, trembling, glowing, afraid of herself. Her body shivered as the serum pulsed within her. Her silver hair clung to her glowing skin, her veins. Alive with green fire, she wanted to stop, to rest, to close her eyes and sleep. But the humans would not let her. Colonel Reeves stood tall in the dust, his sharp eyes locked on her. His jaw was tight, his hand steady on his radio. "She's unstable," he said coldly, "but she bleeds, and if she bleeds, we can bring her down." From the horizon came a deep rumble. Heavy wheels crushed the sand as new machines arrived. Massive walkers, tall as buildings, their armor black and their eyes glowing blue. They carried cannons, nets of energy, and claws designed to tear through steel. This was not a normal army. This was humanity's strongest force. Brought out only when the threat was beyond human control, the girl raised her head. Weakly, her glowing eyes meeting the towering machines. Her chest tightened, her breath sharp. The serum whispered to her. Louder than before, it urged her to fight, to unleash, to destroy, but her heart begged her to stop. She pressed her hands to the ground, shaking her head. "No," she whispered in her language. "I don't want this." Colonel Reeves raised his hand, and the machines stepped forward. The earth trembled beneath their weight. Soldiers formed lines behind them, plasma rifles glowing in the dark. The air filled with the sound of charging weapons. The girl staggered to her feet, her glowing body flickering like a torch in the storm. She took a step back, trapped between canyon walls. Her eyes widened, her heart raced. There was no escape, only war. The first cannon fired. A beam of blue energy shot across the canyon. The girl raised her arm without thought. The beam struck her hand and shattered into sparks. The serum roared inside her, feeding on the attack. Her body blazed brighter, green lightning bursting from her veins. The soldiers gasped as their strongest weapon failed. Reeves narrowed his eyes. "So, she feeds on power," he muttered. The girl screamed. The sound raw and filled with fear. Her voice shook the walls, rocks crumbling around her. She leaped forward, faster than their eyes could follow. Her glowing hand struck the nearest walker. Metal twisted, wires exploded. The massive machine toppled into the sand. The soldiers opened fire. Plasma bolts streaking across the air, but the serum absorbed them, turning their attacks into fuel. The girl's aura grew brighter, a storm of light and energy. She lashed out, waves of force, throwing soldiers like rag dolls. Their weapons shattered, their armor cracked. Another walker fell. Crushed under her strength, the humans had never fought anything like her. She was one girl, yet she was more powerful than an army. The serum had made her unstoppable, but inside, her heart was breaking. She saw their fear, their pain, their screams. She did not want to be a monster, yet every step she took, every cry she made, turned her into one. Her tears glowed as they fell, vanishing into sparks before they touched the sand. She whispered to herself, begging for the power to stop. But the serum roared, drowning her out. Colonel Reeves stood firm, even as chaos swallowed his men. He studied her movements, her glow, her pain. "She's losing control," he said through clenched teeth. "If we wait, the serum will consume her completely." He raised his radio, his voice sharp. "Deploy the Omega Net." From the trucks came a massive device, a glowing cage of pure energy. It unfolded like a spider, its blue light pulsing in the night. Soldiers worked quickly, activating the controls. Reeves watched with cold eyes. "This ends here," he whispered. The girl stumbled forward, her body blazing like a star. Her hands cracked with power, her eyes wild with pain. She struck another machine, tearing it apart in green fire. But then, the Omega Net fired. Blue lines of energy shot out, wrapping around her body. She screamed as the cage closed, pulling tight. Her light flickered, her strength buckled. For the first time since drinking the serum, she felt powerless. She fell to her knees inside the glowing prison. Her body shook, her breath ragged, her glowing aura shrinking. The soldiers moved closer, cautious but hopeful. Colonel Reeves stepped forward, his eyes fixed on her. "You are not a god," he said quietly. "You are a weapon. And weapons can be contained." The girl looked up at him. Her glowing eyes filled with tears, her lips trembled, her body weak. She whispered softly in her alien tongue, words he could not understand, but her tone was clear. It was not rage, not defiance. It was sorrow. The serum inside her burned hotter. It hated the cage. It hated the humans. And deep inside her, something darker began to stir. The Omega Net was strong, but the serum's hunger was stronger. And even as she knelt in the prison, her light dimming, the storm inside her was not finished. It was only waiting for the next chance to break free. The Omega Net glowed like a cage of blue fire. Its humming filled the canyon, its lines of energy wrapped tightly around the alien girl. She knelt inside, trembling, her silver hair falling across her glowing face. Her body flickered with green light, her aura dimming for the first time since the serum entered her veins. She felt trapped. For the first time, she felt weak. Soldiers stood in formation, their weapons raised but steady. The storm was over, at least for now. Colonel Reeves stepped forward, his boots crunching on the broken sand. His eyes never left her as he studied the strange glow around her body. Finally, he muttered, "We have you." The girl lifted her head slowly. Her glowing eyes filled not with rage but with sorrow. Her lips trembled, whispers in her alien tongue spilling softly into the night. The soldiers did not understand her words, but they felt the sadness in her voice. It was not the voice of a monster, it was the voice of someone lost. Reeves frowned, but his voice stayed hard. "You're dangerous," he said coldly. "Too dangerous to walk free?" He turned to his men. "Prepare containment transport." The soldiers nodded. Moving quickly, chains of energy, heavy machines. A prison designed for a weapon. They would not treat her as a girl. They would treat her as a thing. The girl lowered her head, her hands pressed weakly against the glowing lines of the cage. The energy burned her skin, sparks flying where her fingers touched. She winced, pulling back, her body trembled with exhaustion. But deep inside, the serum was not still. It roared. It hated the prison. It hated the humans. And, in its hunger, it began to awaken something deeper. Her breathing grew sharp, her chest heavy. The soldiers froze as the Omega net flickered. Its glow trembled. Its lines shook. Colonel Reeves narrowed his eyes. "No," he whispered, realizing too late she's breaking it. The girl screamed, her voice raw with pain. The Omega net cracked, sparks flying like lightning. Soldiers stumbled back, shielding their eyes from the blast of green and blue. Light, the cage shattered, energy scattering across the canyon like falling stars. And in the center of it stood the alien girl, her body blazing brighter than ever. Her veins burned, her eyes glowed like fire. Her aura surged like a storm. But her face carried only tears. She shook her head, her hands raised. "I don't want this," she whispered in her language. Her voice cracked, but the serum inside her screamed louder. The ground trembled. The rocks split. The air itself buzzed with her energy. The soldiers stumbled, fear gripping them once more. They aimed their weapons, their fingers shaking. This was no longer a hunt. This was survival. Colonel Reeves clenched his fists. He felt the heat from her power. The raw force of her presence. He knew he had only one choice. If she could not be contained, she had to be destroyed. He raised his hand, shouting the order, "All units, fire at will." The canyon exploded with light. Plasma bolts, rockets, and beams of blue energy filled the air. They struck her glowing body all at once. The impact shook the earth, flames rising high into the night. Soldiers shielded their faces. Reeves stood firm. The attack was overwhelming, more than enough to kill anything alive. But when the smoke cleared, she was still there. Her body burned, her skin cracked with light, her eyes glowing brighter than ever. The serum had drunk in their attack like water. Every shot, every blast, had only made her stronger. The soldiers froze in disbelief. Reeves' jaw tightened, his face pale. "This is impossible," he muttered. The girl stood tall now, her aura blazing like a green sun. Her tears still fell, glowing against her cheeks. She looked at the humans, her enemies, her hunters. Her lips trembled as she whispered softly. A single word in her tongue, a word filled with sorrow. Choice. The serum inside her pushed harder. It showed her visions. She could destroy them all. Burn their machines, shatter their weapons. She could become a goddess of war, unstoppable and eternal. But another vision glimmered in her heart. She could resist, fight the serum, hold back the storm. She could choose mercy, though it might destroy her instead. The canyon waited in silence. Soldiers trembled, machines hummed. Reeves clenched his fists, and the girl stood between two paths. Her glowing hands shook, her eyes burned with light and sorrow. Her body trembled, caught between destruction and mercy. Her voice broke as she cried out. But the choice she made was hidden by the storm of light that followed. The desert shook. The night exploded with fire and sound. Soldiers screamed, machines roared. The earth cracked beneath their feet. And when the light finally faded, only silence remained. The canyon was broken, the air heavy. But the fate of the alien girl was unknown. Had she chosen destruction or mercy? Had she become a weapon? Or something more? Colonel Reeves staggered to his feet, his face pale, his eyes scanning the smoke. He searched for her glowing figure, but there was nothing. Only the sound of the wind carrying sand across the broken desert. And the question that haunted every human who had seen her. Was she gone, or was she waiting? And if she returned, would she come as an enemy, or as something humanity had never seen before?